Okay, well, yay! Thank you all for coming and welcome to help me celebrate the launch of my third book, yay! Which is Shamanic Reiki Drumming, Healing with Sound and Vibration. And interestingly, it wasn't actually, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just make myself pin myself so I'm the main face, just because otherwise all you will be featured. So apologies, I didn't do that beforehand. Um, and Oh, Marilyn's asking, can you see me? Can't see myself. Yes, I can see you. I can see you. I can see you. We can see you. Everyone can see you. You might actually be on the recording, Marilyn. Sorry about that.
No, it's very
Anyway.
interesting.
Oh dear. Oh, hang on. I'm just going to be. If I'm a bit interrupted at first, it's because I'm still letting people in who are in the waiting room. Anyway, so interestingly, the book wasn't originally called Shamanic Reiki Drumming. I actually called it Reiki Rhythms as I was writing it. So I guess the idea of calling it Shamanic Reiki Drumming is because that's kind of what it says on the tin. And I guess I spoke to my publisher and they were telling me how shamanism goes in waves of being popular and then not popular in terms of selling books. And I guess it's maybe going through a popular phase at the moment, which is why they wanted to put like shamanic on the title. Hang on, just admitting a few more people. So I have a plan for today, and it does involve you having a lovely journey. But first of all, I just wanted to say a few things about the book. And while I'm doing this, I just wanted to invite you to create sacred space for yourself. I've got this lovely Christ consciousness aura mist, which I'm going to spray. So we're going to all get a bit of vibe of this one. And these are made by David Tyrrell, his aura mists. So anyone who's in Scotland, well, anyone anywhere, I suppose, in the UK. I don't know if he ships abroad, but I love his mists. They're really cool. And actually I had my husband in here about half an hour ago accusing me of like burning the house down, and I swear I hadn't been burning anything for at least an hour, and so it was obviously something that's been smouldering over there on my altar, along with a very large candle and lots of kind of goodies. So I know I don't need to preach to the choir here about sacred space, but that's obviously a really key part of when we hold space as practitioners, not just for others, but also for ourselves. And even I think sometimes we're so used to doing things, we've kind of maybe overlooked that sometimes when we work online, but I think it's almost even more important because we don't really know all the tech stuff that's happening with all of this. So yeah, making it a lovely safe space for yourself, and just make sure you're not going to be interrupted while you're listening to this, and that goes for everyone who's watching on the replay as well. So just to talk about the book, I think most of you here know me, so you know that I've had, this is number 3. So and if I'll just go over them. So Plants That Speak, Souls That Sing was the first one. Oh look, it disappears, doesn't it, if it goes over there. Here. So that one, and they're all available in the usual spots, and also I've got signed copies now. I can do that through my website. So Plants That Speak, Plant Spirit Reiki was the second one, about connecting with plants using in Reiki, and then we've got this one which we're celebrating today, Shamanic Reiki Drumming, and they seem to be getting bigger. They seem to be getting bigger as I write them, which is great. And so really, yeah, I never thought of myself as a writer, but it just so happens that I've managed to do 3 books. And weirdly, if you've read my last newsletter, I've now set up myself on Substack, and I do write regularly. I write every day, because there's something calling me. There's some sort of story that needs to come out. So, oh, I think we've lost somebody. Oh well. People keep coming in and out, but I think I'm scaring them away. So anyway, there's something niggling my soul and it's to do with writing and expressing, and there's something that needs to come out. So I'm just floating that out there, and it's just really a question for you. You know, what's niggling your soul? What's wanting to be expressed in your practice or through you? Because I know that Reiki has led me, you know, along this path, and it keeps kind of leading these little breadcrumbs. But certainly through the shamanic journey, through working with my drum. And if you've read the book, you'll know that really a whole world opened up for me when I started to work shamanically and when I started to train in the drum. And I have been, so this book came about because I had a dream, and it was a very, very clear dream. It was one of those dreams which, you know, it wasn't just a dream about, oh, I was dreaming that I was walking my dogs in the woods and then I had a cup of tea. You know, that it wasn't a dream that is, if I call your everyday dream. It was, which is kind of almost like replaying the stuff which is in your head. It was just a very clear spirit guided dream. And in that dream, I was telling in detail Carol Day, who's one of my teachers, who is amazing. Carol wrote the foreword for this. And I was telling her very specifically in the dream about my next book and what it was going to be about, all about working with the drum and Reiki. And when I woke up, I was telling my husband my dream, because we often share dreams with each other because it helps you remember them. It helps you kind of grasp them, because they tend to fly away, don't they, if you don't write down a dream. And he just looked at me and he said, oh, have you not written a book about that yet? As if it was just like, you know, really normal. And actually, and then, yeah, so I knew I had to write the book. And so really, and then in a way, just like all my other books, it came very easily, because I realized that over the years of working with the drum and teaching, I'd kind of already written it. And so this is why I have a practice of writing every day, because there's such rich material in the kind of natural world and the things that I listen to, if you like. And so, yeah, this theme of bringing our dreams to life is going to be the theme of our journey later on, to help you bring something that needs to come to life in your realms. And what I was doing when I was writing the book, and I hope that you've got the impression from reading it, or if you've not read it yet, you might get this impression, that my work is really spirit guided, it's spirit led. So if I have an idea, certainly for this book, I just run it by my guides, by doing a journey, by going on a journey with my drum, or simply listening to a drumming track, just to check in, to see what the energy is like for this idea, for example. And while I was gathering myself to connect with you all today, I was thinking, right, I just want to sit down and do a journey so that I've got some words of wisdom to share with the group. And then actually, as luck would have it, I was tidying up my desk, which is a real mess on this side of me, and I actually found 2 pieces of paper, and these are journeys which I did in the process of writing the book. So I wanted to share them with you, so that you can get an insight really in how I work with the journey as a tool and how it might help you in your practice. Okay, so that one of these, well, okay, now actually the first journey, and this is why I'm laughing at myself, this is a question of don't do as I say, not as I do. I haven't dated this one. And I do say specifically to everybody, you really need to, when you journey, write them down, just like you do dreams, date them. I know it was early 2022, because what the journey is entitled is I wanted to journey to the source of the dream that gave me the inspiration for the book, to ask for guidance. Because, you know, this is what happens sometimes when we receive information from the spirit world, or we receive a nudge, or something significant happens, like sometimes, you know, we bump into someone and we think we know them, and we've got this connection, and we're like, yes, but what is it? What do I need to know something else about that. So sometimes the more we journey, the more, or pull oracle cards, you know, the more questions we have. So I wanted to journey to specifically ask, almost like, well, where do I start then? I've got this idea for a book. And as with all journeys, it was all very metaphorical, a little bit confusing and fantasistical, if you like. Actually, a lot of the journey was about, it was kind of healing. There was a lot of healing. It felt like a lot of things were being extracted from me, in a sense, to make myself a clearer channel, perhaps, to receive information. But in terms of the kind of the clear messages that I got were that my channels were open now, and that the chapter that would talk about connecting heaven and earth was the most important chapter in the book. And actually that is chapter 6. And if anyone sort of asks me what is my favorite way of using the drum, it is to connect with the natural world. It is to connect with the earth, the cosmos, etc. So that's kind of interesting that that really came through. And also this holding, sort of connecting with the community of the earth, being the bridge between the earth and heaven. I talk about that a lot. You know, that's what we are, and the drum helps us to bridge that and create that and help ourselves be very clear channels for this information. And this connection that we have, that it gives us to the light and to the earth. It also said the elemental connection was very important. So that, yeah, the elements, so the fire, the water, the air, as well as the elementals, those unseen beings that are guardians, if you like, of those. Actually, can I just make sure everyone's on mute? Fiona, can you? I've just muted you because I think there was some noise coming through. Yeah, and this kind of heartbeat of the earth that connects with our heartbeat, if you like, which really brings healing for us and balance. So that's what the journey contained for me. It was rich in sort of moons, so this cycle, the cycles of moon and the moon and initiation, transmutation and being creative, celebration, honoring, and working with the drum to shift our frequency. So I really hope that I've kind of done that justice, because that was really interesting to find that journey again after all this time, because I don't know about you, but we can really easily forget these very deep and meaningful experiences that we have with the drum. And it is really useful to, so I recommend to all my students to just write them down, have a note. I have journals of journeys, and they are always absolute gold, the information. It doesn't necessarily make total sense at the time sometimes, which is very frustrating. I get that. And I wanted to share this other journey that I did I've actually dated this one, so well done me. I did this in July, so I would have done it in July last year, because obviously with the publishing process, the manuscript was all done and dusted this time last year, and then it just goes off forever in the wheels of publication. So this journey, and I'm sharing these with you to give you ideas about how I journey, because really I feel like working with the drum, it's all about asking the right questions. And I must admit, still after all these years, I do not ask the right questions, but that's something that I'm really, I'm still in practice of that. So the journey I did last July was, I wanted to meet the Sui. I wanted to ask for a blessing for the book. I mean, wow, that's a big ask, isn't it? But I thought, why not? This is what we can do. I want to, connect with the Sui. And this is a journey that we can all do. We can go to Mount Kurama. We can journey to anybody in our lineage to bring inspiration through. And actually, there was a lot of info in there which meant something to me. It won't necessarily mean things to you. But if you can see this image that I drew, so that is an image, if you like. That's my image, and that's kind of me with this big hole. Oh, it's going a bit funny, isn't it? With this big hole in me. And this is really about me being the portal, as in the book, things, information, healing, etc., coming through with this book. So that was, again, very interesting, exciting, about shining light into the, what did I say here, the deepest. It was almost like about, as much as it was things coming through, it was about light shining through into the deepest recesses of me, where there is still conditioning, where there is expectation, etc. So in a sense, it's really kind of showing to me how the books that I write are also part of my healing process around being seen. Because something that I realized, and just sharing it here amongst friends, because I know that it's not like this is going to be publicized to the world, but something I realized really as at the end of September, when I was in Findhorn and I met with my publisher, I had this, bomb sort of dropped on me that I realized, big wake up call, how desperately scared I still am about being seen. And you're like, really? 3 books in, teaching, to some extent, sort of, you could say, oh, she's in the limelight. That's not, I've got a very small reach, but so I am still carrying that. That's the thing that I'm healing, and I know that my books are helping me to do that. So thank you very much for being here. Don't want to go on and on. What else was I going to say? Yeah, signed copies of the book are on the website. What else is there? You've probably had the emails about my newsletter, which is now on Substack, and that's all kind of shaping up. And in the future, there'll be a monthly event which is connected to the paid subscribers on that. But for now, there's a few events I just want to shout out, because once we start the journey, we'll go into the zone and we won't be able to talk, mainstream sense. So in terms of the events I've got coming up, the Oracle Cafe is next Sunday evening, and that is an event where we play with Oracle cards and we share information about connecting with our intuition. It's very informal and fun. So that link is on my website. I'm also going to do a winter solstice event this year. I think that will be on the 21st of December in the evening, as a ceremony and celebration, and a bit of drum, bit of plants, bit of drum, bit of candles, the usual stuff. I am going to be running some in-person drumming courses next year from here. There's always the online course, which anyone who's bought the book, you've got 20% off that course. Though next year I'll be doing in-person here, and also I want to do some more advanced practitioner courses, such as soul retrieval, power retrieval, etc. They will be coming. I haven't really worked out a way how I feel safe about doing that online, that type of work. So I feel that will be in person. But any suggestions coming from you or anyone watching or replay, very welcome. Let me know what you want to learn about. And also I'm doing an online Reiki Masters as well that starts in January, but just to throw that one out there too. I want to share, it's niggling at me. I basically did a journey at the end of the book as well, and it's niggling at me because I want to share it with you. When you're having the doubt and you're thinking, is this finished? Do I need to keep doing it? Should I do something again? Do I need to tweak something? If you're having it, so I basically did a journey to ask what else was needed, and honestly, the journey was quite confusing. It wasn't sort of one of these, oh yeah, I totally get that. So I don't remember the specific journey, but afterwards, and this is something I always recommend, is to integrate with some nice music. I was probably in my caravan, staring at the fire, probably looking at my phone, putting the music on, and I listened to a track, which was something that was on my playlist. And then what happened is the Spotify just decided to, play another track, and it started playing, and I thought, what is this? And I looked at my phone, and the words on the phone were something like, nothing more is needed, or nothing is required. And that for me was this beautiful message about, you're done, stop working on the book, hand in the manuscript. So that, just sharing how sometimes we get messages from the universe in many different ways, not just, and especially when we're working with the drum, it really, really shakes us up, doesn't it? It moves things, it moves energy, it brings up emotions, it brings up things we really thought were just hidden and done and dusted with, and quite frankly we wanted to move on from, and it brings it right there present in the space. So always as practitioner or as someone who's receiving, just incorporate the time to be still afterwards, because it's like that snow globe that has been shaken up, and it just needs time for everything to fall into place. And as I say in the book, that is usually when I really connect and receive information that is useful. So I hope that's helpful for you. Anyway, I've realised I'm sort of going into teaching mode, and this is supposed to be like, woo, celebration and drum circle. So I'm sorry, apologise for that. I can't help myself, can I? But yeah, my favourite bit in the book, my favourite way to use the drum is to be outside and just drumming, connecting with the earth. I live by the sea, so I can drum with the sea, drumming with the stars, the moon, connecting with yourself. You know, it's just such a beautiful, wonderful tool, isn't it, for helping us bridge the unseen and bringing, you know, connecting with the web of life, really, which is what we are part of. So I feel it really helps engender that connection. So does anyone have, before we go on and to do the journey, does anybody have any questions that they want to ask about the book or about my drumming journey or anything? You can unmute yourself, because there's not a lot of us here, so you can unmute and say anything. Nobody? No questions? Okay. Be like that. That's absolutely fine.
I've got a question about your courses next year, your drumming courses.
Oh, it's Claire, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Do you have to do the drumming courses? Do you have to have done anything else beforehand? Are there any prerequisites, or can you just go straight in for a drumming course, or do you need to have like done your Reiki?
Well, yeah, so the drum course I do talk about the symbols that we use in Reiki level 2. You don't need them when you're drumming, but I do talk about them. So if you are a Reiki level 2 practitioner, then you can do the course, and then you could do case studies and certify in it, for example. That's a kind of prerequisite for the insurance, is that you would already have Reiki level 2. You're still going to understand the content because it's about using the drum, and we really use the symbols to help us connect using the drum. Does that make sense, Claire?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay, but you've done Reiki 2 anyway, actually, haven't you? I think you've done Reiki 2. No? Oh, well, there you go. Put it.
No, I haven't. No,
I'm sure you have.
I haven't finished it. If I can't remember. It's just, yeah, I haven't finished it. If I have, I'm sort of like probably at the case study point, but yeah.
Well, as I always say, case studies are just there to give us confidence, and actually that is the one thing with the drum. If anyone working with their drum, I think some of you here are pretty, if you like, dab hand at the drum, been using it a long time, but that's the biggest thing I see in my students, is almost like being afraid to hit the drum. And that's, remember, where the power is. It's not, you don't always have to beat the drum, you don't always have to sound it, with a massive beat, but the more you practice, it's like with anything, the more confident you feel, and therefore you'll be able to kind of allow the drum to sort of move through you and express it. But whenever people start at the beginning, they're usually quite timid about working with the drum. So the more you do it, the more you'll be guided, and you'll probably find yourself expressing yourself more. So there was someone else with a question. Fiona, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to ask about drums, because I've got the opportunity to birth a drum, but it's just the budget. And I just thought, do you have any advice on getting a drum just to start off with? Because I'm more from the Reiki side, although I've done a lot of sound healing, participated in it. I haven't actually got a drum, but I've done a few drum circles. I've got an opportunity to birth a drum, but it's just the cost of it. It's a bit. What would you advise? Would you advise starting off with a second-hand drum, or?
I don't know about a second-hand drum. You have to kind of feel into it. So, for example, I think that's the thing with buying things online, actually. The things with your shamanic tools, or the tools that you work with, you kind of want to feel into them. So if you're buying a second-hand one, I presume that might be through sort of eBay or somebody online, and you'd have to really feel into it and feel like, does this feel right for me? And you'd probably know when you picked it up whether it did. So I've just picked this one up because this one is the first drum that I was given it when I did my Reiki drumming weekend in 2009, and it's, you know, it's a really simple vegan Remo drum. I think this one's a 16-incher. And so I've had it since 2009, and it's an amazing drum. It's not, if you like, as sexy as the one I've birthed, or I've got a Celtic burin up there, which is, yeah, it's got an amazing Celtic design on. I've got a small drum. I've got something over there that I've painted. The word's not connecting with me. And I've got some more drums which I sort of use for students. So, you know, start with what you have, absolutely, and start with what you can afford. Heron Drums in the UK do amazing workshops. I've heard amazing things from Heron Drums, but yeah, you're looking at sort of £250 or something. I don't think that would be badly spent, because birthing your own drum is such a unique experience. It's like a healing, it's a journey. It's an amazing experience. So in a sense, if anyone here is thinking about going on a, you know, to birth a drum, think of it like that. Don't think of it as, oh, I'm going on a course to make a drum, whereas I could buy one for this much. It's actually a whole kind of process, or certainly the process when I made my one in Canada it was really, and it really represented a part of my life, if you like, that drum, which is why it's why I'm not using it today. It's very personal to me. It's a drum that I work with for when I want to tune in for guidance for me. Whereas I've picked up my Reiki drum, my vegan drum, which is what we call them now, isn't it? These buffalo, this is one of the, what's it called? The Remo buffalo drums. And I haven't done anything to this. I could have painted it. I've got some, you can probably hear rattling. I've got lots of ribbons on the back, and I've got Reiki symbols and stuff on the back. But, you know, you can paint these and they can look lovely if that's what, you know, if that's what you want. Or you might find, I mean, there are some beautiful, I've seen some beautiful makers on Etsy, for example, shaman drums and so on. But I don't know anything about them. You have to kind of feel for it, really. But what I was going to say is there's nothing wrong with having a vegan drum, or getting a drum which is within your budget. Yeah. And then what you might find is that you're guided to other drums for specific purposes, because that's certainly why I have each of my drums. It's not because I'm obsessed with drums, because they're expensive. I get them because there's a specific kind of healing that is working through them. And that's why you might want to, I mean, you know, so I was very tempted to do a drum birthing workshop this year, but it just wasn't it almost wasn't ripe enough for me. I need to have a specific reason for that. So maybe when a new branch of my work comes along, I'll do that. Because yeah, you've only got one pair of hands. You can't drum all the time with different drums, you know. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. It looks like new, the one you were showing me, and it seems to have worn really well. It's nice and tight as well, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing with these. They're really good quality, these drums. This has been in the rain and the hail in Scotland, and they don't lose their tone in damp weather, which is, hey, I'm in Scotland, damp pretty much all, it's like 90% humidity most of the time, which is why my skin drums, which are up there, they need a bit more care, and obviously you have to take care of them in a different way than you would take care of a vegan drum. So in a sense, if you're able to have both, yeah, have both. But I love this drum. I'm really proud of it. It's beautiful, and the sound is great, always.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you.
Okay. Ellen's saying she's got a Remo drum and it's great. The advantage is you can use it outside without a problem, and they're a good way to get into drums price-wise. That is, yeah, she said that very succinctly, whereas I went on a bit. Okay, Marilyn, have you got a question?
Yeah, it was just to say, when I went to receive the Reiki drum attunement, obviously bring your drum, and apparently the drum, you get attuned to the drum and the spirit of the drum. If I was to get another drum, whether it be through what you were speaking about there or just some other way, how would your drum become attuned if you're not going to receive that from a teacher? Do you know what I mean? Or would it just happen if you just allow Reiki to flow through? How would that work?
Yeah, it's a really great question actually, Marilyn, because if you're sort of coming at it from the Reiki drum perspective, you feel that you want to have that gifted to you from, from your teacher. However, there are some guidelines in the book about attuning to your drum, and really it's a question of, like with all the tools that we use, just sitting with them, allowing them to guide you, and drumming and inviting in this intention, the intention to for the drum to work with you as part of your Reiki drum practice. And then what you might find, Marilyn, is that the drum, like, so for example, this was the drum that I was attuned with all those years ago. And it is the drum I mainly use when I am working, if you like, in a very specific Reiki drum context. So Reiki and drumming, with a client. If I work more shamanically, perhaps I might use some of my other drums. And for example, if you're thinking about getting a new drum, you might feel that actually, yeah, this one's more for me, working on just exploring myself and being creative in my practice. But certainly don't let that hold you back, because yeah, you can, you're sovereign. You can instill the Reiki symbols and connect with Reiki every time you pick up that drum and practice.
Yeah, there's definitely something in me that wants to really connect and explore and break out, so to speak. So I'm kind of looking forward to that happening, and I'm hoping that I can come maybe to if you've got any workshops in the future. That would be amazing for practitioners that are already drumming that need that wee bit of extra. I don't know. It's
a combination of practice, confidence, and just being able to perhaps have a space to tune into that guidance that comes. And it's about practicing the listening, isn't it? And how does that? Because remember, we're all different. I'm a very visual person. And other people really feel things in their bodies. So Claire, I know, really feels things in your body, don't you? So we all receive information slightly differently, and we feel it differently when we start to drum as well. Okay, I am going to, hi Vicky who's just joined us. Vicky, we've just sort of finished the talky bit, and we're just about to go into our journey now, actually, unless anyone else has any more questions.
Where are you located, Fay?
I'm in Fife, actually, near to Cairney Hill. It's you can get a bus. I got a bus that day, so you can get a bus from the centre of Glasgow to the local village, actually.
Oh, that's good to know.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible.
Okay.
Yeah, near to Dunfermline is where I am. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, right.